Uh-huh. Oh, we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Children of Primus's Frenzy Freestyle Sundays. Pepperoni just decided to jump ship, but I'm sure she'll be back. Um, I'm coming to you live from a space that I'm in the middle of rapidly rearranging. We're here today to talk to you about Black Fridays and Cyber Mondays. Yeah, took me about 15 seconds to realize I was live, but compared to how things have gone in the past, I'd say that's pretty good. Yeah, now I didn't really go out shopping. Pepperoni, rearrange this. There we go. I didn't really go Black Friday shopping on Black Friday, though my partner had to work during that day. But I did do some Black Friday shopping today, though it was not for Transformers stuff. I'll tell you why. It's because TFCon's in like 2 weeks, so I'm just like putting everything on moratorium until I get to that. Speaking of which, I really need to prepare for it. Hello. But Amazon had some things on sale. I heard the general feeling in the air was that this year did not have a lot of deals compared to previous years. I can't comment too much on that because I didn't take part in it too much. Though I will say something. I did manage to get a PlayStation 5 this Black Friday, entirely because my partner works at a place that had them. So, we didn't use any backdoor connections to get them. We just knew they were going to be there. So we were there at the right time. And then, hello. There's a very nice local gaming store in Ajax, Ontario, if you're in the area, and I believe they have another branch in Oakville. They're called We Got Games. It's spelled with a Z. We went there on the Black Friday sale, and we got like a giant pile of PlayStation 4 games for their PlayStation 5 because they were all like super cheap. Great place if you like video game stuff. Highly recommended. And the guy that runs it is a Transformers guy. He has like a big collection of shelves right there in the store. I've asked. They're not for sale. I've asked to buy them in the past. Unfortunately, they are not. Like a bunch of G1 stuff, a bunch of movie stuff. Yeah, he's one of us. There's a game on the Switch called Transformers Battlegrounds. It's a strategy game. It's pretty good. It's based on the Cyberverse show. A friend accidentally got me a double of it for my birthday, even though I already had it. So I went to this place to We Got Games to sell it because they buy and sell. And because the guy that runs the store was a Transformers guy, he was like, "Oh, I'll just buy this off you to play it." So yeah. There you go. Support a local business if you live in either Oakville or Ajax, and support fellow Transformers fans if you're in that zone. And also, if you're in the Mississauga zone, come to TFCon in a couple of weeks. Yeah. There's one Transformers title that I haven't gotten to play that I'm really hoping they re-release. It's Transformers Devastation. And the scuttlebutt is it might be getting a re-release on current generation stuff. Okay. Sorry, I minimized the window. Because they just released the soundtrack to it officially, which is strange for an old game that's not available anymore. So, it might get a re-release, and I'd be looking forward to playing that, maybe on my new game console that I just got. Though I am typically a Nintendo guy, and the last Transformers game I played, which was Battlegrounds, was on there. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. But yeah, while I'm here and while I have the floor on my own and I'm controlling the transmission and what you see, I want to give a shout out to a comic that I recently read because I've been catching up on Transformers comics. A y'all remember Last Stand of the Wreckers? If you read Transformers comics, you probably did because it was popular. Well, there's a new Wreckers comic out there, and it's called Wreckers, Treads, and Circuits. And it's set in the new continuity, the one that the new rebooted Transformers one from 2019. But much like Last Stand of the Wreckers back in the day, having read the first issue, I can say you don't need to have kept up with it. It's this is like a self-contained thing. You can just pick it up and go. And this is a great premise for a story because it's a new take on the Wreckers. So here's the pitch. The Wreckers in this universe, because they're not at war, they're at peace. Officially, the Wreckers are a team of stunt people, a team of daredevils. But they do like extreme sports and they record it on video. The issue opens with them skydiving, but unofficially, they're a team of like military professionals who solve messy problems. So they're like the A team basically, and their extreme sports backstory is a cover so that they can go in and do their undercover wrecker stuff behind the scenes. And so the setup is the planet Velocitron, which you might know from either the Cybertron anime from 2006 or the 2018, 2017 IDW comics, if you read them. It's a racing planet. Everybody's a race car. They have a big race to decide who leads the planet, and a terrorist group called Mayhem have said, we don't think you should decide who leads the planet with a race anymore. We're going to attack this race and do violence if you don't stop it. So the Wreckers are like, I guess we're going to go to Velocitron and take part in this race publicly, while behind the scenes we try and figure out what's going on. So it's kind of like a Fast and Furious type thing. Ooh, I'm getting a blue screen. Am I going to have to recap this entire series again? Oh. Guess I'm just... we have fun here. Anyway, yeah, second issue's out. I have not read it yet, but unless it takes a sudden nosedive, this is probably my favorite setup for a Transformers comic this year, which is saying something. Beast Wars didn't start this year, did it? Beast Wars is my favorite ongoing, but thus far, this Records miniseries has probably been my favorite idea for a comic. All right, Pep. I do not know how to look at comments, so if anybody is commenting on the video, oh, you know what I can do? I can do this the old-fashioned way. Working on some tech issues. We'll be on shortly. All right. But yeah. The other ones I've been reading are King Grimlock, which is about Generation 1 Grimlock being teleported to a fantasy realm, like a Dungeons and Dragons-esque one, and having to rescue the place from a tyrant. It's an interesting premise. I want to see where it goes, but I think it's kind of dull. And I've also been keeping up with the new Shattered Glass comic. It's another mini-series. And they're like 3 issues in now. I think it's going to be 5. And it's... it's that universe where the Autobots are evil and the Decepticons are good. And it's just kind of like a bunch of short stories set in that world about like the good version of Megatron, the good, very loyal version of Starscream, the evil Blur. It's very... some people don't like it, but I've actually enjoyed it a lot. It reminds me of like old grim Marvel UK stuff. And once we got into what the backstory of the universe was, it reminds me of it's basically like an inversion. It's not even an inversion. It's Megatron's old IDW origin story. He was a miner who became a gladiator, and Optimus worked for the corrupt Senate. But in this version, Megatron stays good, Optimus becomes evil, and then the war starts because of that. So it's an interesting setup for like a what-if story. And then, of course, there's Brian Ruckley's ongoing, which I will, continue to promote for everyone because it's a great Transformers story. Y'all enjoying pepperoni? This is Primo content. But anyway, I shall continue. Last week, I finally looked at Netflix Soundwave, the extremely rare, extremely hard to find G1 style guy with Ravage and Laserbeak, and gave him a very positive review. I said, honestly, he's probably worth a bit of markup. And then on Friday, I looked at Cyberverse Hot Rod as my retro review, which is still the only Cyberverse figure I have, because I use them on my More Than Meets the Eye shelf. I wish he had more color. I put Toy Hacks on blast. They need to make a label set for him. But if you can ignore the fact that he's way too red, it's a solid deluxe. And he comes with a couple of cool flame effect parts that I gave to my Siege guys. And coming on Monday, I'm finally, even though I've mentioned him like a zillion times, gonna do a review of Origin Bumblebee. And it's interesting because the Netflix guy was like a re-engineered version of the old Masterpiece Bumblebee, and this guy kind of reads like a re-engineered version of the new Masterpiece Bumblebee, because he, like, all his VW parts are fake and his actual alternate mode's on panels, but it serves a better purpose here because it changes them into something different instead of a VW with slightly more chibified proportions. And beyond that, I'm going to look at Ravage, the Beast Wars one, the Rusky, Rhinox. Oh, I got to get him done before TFCon because I'm probably going to sell the Thrilling 30 version that I was going to compare him to. I just got to get him photographed before then. And beyond that, I don't know. TFCon will have been done by that point, so I kind of figure I'm going to get some stuff there and then talk about it. And if not, I'll look at old things. I always got something to talk about. Honestly, I've been doing reviews since like late 2018. So that'll be like January, so it'll be like 3-ish years now. And it's become so like critical to how I interact with the hobby because I like talking about the robots that I get. So taking pictures and writing them up and posting them there is just like comes natural to me. And I just think just making sure my cat's not getting into any trouble there on my shelf. What was I? Oh yeah, it's just a natural way for me to like engage with the hobby. Yeah. Oofa doofa. I wonder how many people are watching me carry this thing solo right now, which, I have no problem with. I will keep doing it. Let me talk a little bit about TFCon because my cousin is going to be coming there with me. We got a table and a pass and everything because he was a Transformers kid, and like me and him just played with our Transformers all the time when we were kids. He's a little bit younger than me, so he skipped the Generation 2 stuff, but me and him came up through Beast Wars and Beast Machines. And I checked out during Armada, because he was a bit younger than me. He had a bunch of Armada stuff too. Like, he's got the old Unicron. But into his adult life, he never got back into it like I did. He's vaguely interested. He thinks it's neat, but he's in finance now, strangely. And so he's going to be coming with me, and he's going to be selling a bunch of his old stuff. Sometime before the convention, I'm going to help him inventory and bag it. I helped him once before because he was interested in selling it, but it never got very far. So I know he's got a lot of great condition, vintage Beast Wars, vintage Beast Machines, vintage Robots in Disguise, and vintage Armada stuff. And so we're going to be putting that together and making a table of that for him, in addition to my stuff, which will be less than his because I got cleaned out at the 80s Toy Expo. So if you're going to be there and any of this stuff interests you, we have not priced it yet, but I'm going to push towards fair pricing. A lot of great condition, old Beast era, Robots in Disguise era, Armada era stuff. I think we're going to try and sell the Unicron, though transporting it there and pricing it, we haven't decided that yet. But I know that was in great condition. Um, Only reason I didn't buy it myself was because I want one of the G1 headed ones. That's like my ideal version, like the Amazon one, the Generations one. Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because during our previous attempt to sell stuff, which, we just lost interests, the Beast Wars reissues didn't exist. So, but now they do. So, like, he has an original T Rex Megatron, original Gorilla Optimus, and an original flip changing Rat Trap. But, like, now you can go out and buy the reissues. I finally saw them in Walmart. So I'm like, I wonder how we're going to price those. Because sure, the new ones look different because they have different color schemes slightly, but surely the fact that you can just go out and buy them means that the vintage ones will have to be priced at less than that. Like like I said, I went out and bought a vintage Rat Trap just for the heck of it. I've shown him off before here with his nifty little one-step transformation. And I didn't know those were coming out when Kingdom started because this has come up before, but like I'm a big Beast Wars guy. I started with Generation 2, but that's what got me into Transformers. But Beast Wars is what kept me in it because suddenly there's another show that's even cooler. Or wait, no, I'm not going to start that. I was a bit older at that point. There's another cool show, so I guess Transformers is my thing now. So I got way into Kingdom. I'm getting all the show cast as they come out. Here's Scorponok. I got Rhinox over here, and I've been going completist on the TV show cast. I don't yet have Tigatron or Waspinator because I don't think they're out in Canada. Maybe I'll find them at TFCon. But yeah, like when I started collecting Kingdom, nobody knew that the vintage Beast Wars re-releases were going to be a thing. And I'd already committed, so I'm not going to double dip and buy the vintage ones just because I don't have like the space or the money to do that. It doesn't fit my budget. But man, if they dropped at the same time, I would have had to do some choosing because my cousin's got the original Ultras, the original T-Rex Megatron, and the original Gorilla Optimus. And I didn't when I was little, and I like coveted them. So part of me is like, I might as well get the new ones. They're more posable and stuff. But then I'm like, no, you got to get the old ones. You got to get the ones that you didn't have as a kid that you wanted. Sublimated childhood desire. Don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, it helps that like old Beast Wars stuff is like I love me some G1 things, right? Like I have a few reissues and I've had a few more. They're doing a really specific stylish thing. They're these big, wonderful chunks of things, but also they're very different from modern figures. They don't have articulation. They're bricks. But like vintage Beast Wars stuff, kind of, it's got ball joints. It's posable. It has gimmicks. Like it sort of holds up, right? So it's kind of weird comparing the vintage guys side by side to the Kingdom guys. A lot of people think the vintage ones might be better. Like certainly the original Optimus Primal, the Gorilla one, had like 2,000 gimmicks in it, and the Kingdom one doesn't because it's not trying to be that. It's trying to be like a posable action figure. One moment, let me just check something. Like a posable act. Okay, yeah. So there's a very, very solid argument that like the vintage one might in fact be, better. But I don't know. If you want some of the vintage ones, come to TFCon. Buy them for my cousin. I'll try and help him price them modestly because I'm more concerned with putting things out in the world than making tons of money. But don't tell him that. He doesn't watch this anyway. He's too out of the scene. I gotta stop with that verbal tick. I'll tell you what. I'm not stalling. I had a train of thought. Oh yeah. Um, Whenever I'm at TFCon, I try and price things a little bit below everyone else because I'm more interested in passing them on. And then if kids come up to me and want something, I just give them like half off everything. That's like preserving the future of the hobby. Um, as I have not yet had a parent obviously try and get their kid to get like a masterpiece transformer or something. But that could happen one day. While on the subject of Beast Wars, here was the first one I ever had. A random maximal called Armadillo, and he changes into an armadillo. And it says something for how these guys were built. I've had other Beast Wars toys come to pieces and fall apart and crumble, and I've had to happen to Generation 2 guys. But this guy's like still as mint as when I got him. No looseness, no paint problems. And you spring load him into an armadillo, and you attach his feet there. Hello.
Hey, good evening.
Oh, you're not coming through my headphones. You're coming through the computer, which is fine. Yeah, I've just been talking about vintage Beast Wars stuff. I started out talking about Black Friday, just things drifted.
No, I heard.
Oh yeah, you've probably been listening in. But yeah, it's there. I might have gone in on the vintage stuff instead of the Kingdom stuff if it had been out at the time, just because of that childhood desire to have these figures that I didn't have.
Yes.
Let me just get headphones properly connected. There we go.
One of those weeks is like I'm hearing you a little bit because of my headphones, so it was like my entire setup just decided like it's not going to work this week. So I'm using my phone.
That's fine. As I have demonstrated, I can talk for long periods of time about Transformers. Because that's sometimes a question. They're like, all right, you got to give a TED talk on the spot for 10 minutes. What are you going to talk about? And I'm like, I've done that. I will do that again. There you go.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah. Already. Oh gosh, I burned through anything I was thinking of because I was like, y'all hear about the wreckers? Let me tell you about the wreckers.
Right.
Yeah. This people have been saying about this comic because IDW does this a lot. We're probably looking at a bunch of upcoming figures in here that haven't been teased yet because that tends to happen with IDW comics, and also a lot of these guys look like toy designs.
Okay.
Like that hot shot. Oh God, mirroring is so difficult. That hot shot on there is the Generation Selects one they did back in Siege. Like they drew him as that guy. It's rumored there's going to be a new Minerva, and she looks like a new figure. She's not based on a previous design. You got Thunderclash up here. Maybe they're going to do a new one of his.
Okay.
Stuff like that. So it might secretly be like a preview of upcoming Legacy figures.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, like we know they're going to be doing we know they're going to be doing Transformers Prime Knockout. Like that's been leaked. We don't know what he looks like, but hey, in issue number 2 of this, Knockout shows up, and he sure does have a body that's drawn to look exactly like Studio Series Jazz, but with a new head. So people are like, okay, that's obviously what the toy is, and we're just getting an early look. They'll give these to the artists to draw, like, so that's a deliberate thing. They used to do that back during back in like the 2016, 2017 days.
Okay. I mean, I like Knockout from the cartoon series.
Yeah. I think the full list of Transformers Prime people is because we saw Bulkhead, we saw RC. Supposedly they're doing Knockout, and supposedly they're doing Soundwave. and they might be doing Optimus, but we're not totally sure if that listing meant Prime Optimus or someone else.
Okay.
That's who we know is coming. So if any of those guys show up in the comics, people got to look out for that. Yeah.
Cool. And yeah, and what were you saying? I guess in terms of in terms of Black Friday, like, because I know you were saying you didn't get any Transformers, but did you see any Transformers sales or anything headlining in terms of Black Friday deals for Transformers?
Toys R Us was having a sale because I was in there for some reason, like right before on the Black Friday, and they were selling their Generations Deluxes for like a certain amount of dollars off.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it's a thing. They'll do that, but it tends to not be the new things. It tends to be the older stuff, which is also fine. I'm a big advocate of paying attention to the older things. So
Well, I was thinking like a few of like the other online stores. If they would be doing any exclusives or trying to sell off anything, for within the Friday as an opportunity to just get it out there.
yeah, I mean, I've been told, and apparently this year was no different. TF Source sure does love to take old third-party figures and heavily discount them on Black Friday, which some people make fun of, but then other people are like, "Hey, you know what? Some of these are good, and this is a good shot at owning them." Like a year or two ago, there was a Computron, I think it was Quantron, and it was like mad cheap, and so people were like actually freaking out about that.
Okay. Like
Yeah.
how much is Mad Cheap compared to like its regular price?
I think it was like $100 for the box set, which is not bad
Nice.
for a third party like masterpiece ish combiner. So,
No, that's not. Yeah, an amazing price. I mean,
mhm.
yeah, considering like the prices of I mean, some of the figures now where it's like each part is $100.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah, I confess I was not heavily plugged into the Black Friday thing because I was specifically like I want a buying things moratorium.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just all about grabbing video game stuff. So
Cool. Yeah, and you were mentioning the PS5.
yeah, yeah. Like I did not do any weird insider stuff. Sort of. I mean, Jess knew that her place of work was going to have some of them available because she works there and can go in the back. And
Okay.
she was like, okay, they're going to be there. We got to show up on opening day and go straight there and grab them. So we
Mhm.
did. It's like that's because I'm not a big fan of like because I hear it's a problem with Transformers too. Like people that will work in like either toy stores or like a general store will like buy things before they get out on the floor and then scalp them. Like
Wow.
it's not even buying them up, you know. Um, or like just figures that are in demand will go to the stock people first. I'm not a big fan of
Mhm.
that. And I know that happens with PlayStation 5s too. We did not do that. We just had advanced knowledge that they were going to be there. So
Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
like, I remember like years ago, whichever version of PlayStation that was coming out was,
yeah.
like going for like 800 to like $1,000, just because of whoever had access to it before, and then like right after Christmas, then it's like back down to like $400 or $500.
Yeah, yeah. Like and I've known that's a thing that happens in action figure collecting too. Like if you work at Toys R Us or whatever, and you'll just purchase the case before it goes out, and it'll get sold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I I do not support that. I mean,
No.
um, if people want to know that things are going to be there in advance, I'm like, whatever. That's fair, but yeah, everybody needs a shot to go out there.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, in a sense, yeah, if you have that knowledge, you can't fault someone for having that knowledge. Like at some point, anyone is going to have that knowledge. Like it's impossible for that not to happen.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. You ever managed to snag something like really hard to get in advance through some method like that?
Yeah, I'm thinking in terms of I mean more so maybe like certain sales, but in yeah, I think like in musical days, there is certain equipment coming out. Kind of one sale I'm thinking of is like when Lana McQuaid would do their annual sale, um,
Mm-hmm.
and if you get there within the first day, although I mean in a sense the sale's like public knowledge, so it's like if you're there early, like you get access to whatever before everyone else does. Um, but I do believe there were certain components I've had years ago that like I found out beforehand that that like the store would have it before the public knew about it. I
Yeah,
don't recall which components those were, but at some point it happens.
yeah, that's the fair kind of thing. Yeah, thinking about the same sort of situation happened with you were never into Amiibos, were you? Um, the little statues for Nintendo that interacted with all their games.
Yes. What's the name of? Because we had one of those for the Wii,
Mhm.
the little statues that interact with the games.
Oh, you're probably thinking of Skylanders.
That's it. I mean, it's kind of still similar though, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say like Amiibos didn't exist in the Wii era, but the concept certainly did. Yeah, but like Amiibos were always difficult to find because Nintendo were not like a toy company, and it was all through them, so they were obviously like not good at meeting demand, and
Okay.
yeah, so that was a particularly brutal case of having to like show up at the store on the day of to get them on the day they released because if you didn't, they probably weren't going to get restocked.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I was saying that happened to me very recently because, believe it or not, they're still making them. Um, Metroid Dread came out in October, and they did a couple of amiibos for that, and so I had to show up on the day they came out, like pretty early in the morning, to grab them. Um, yeah, I wouldn't mind if Transformers got into making some of these because they're like statues and they're pretty well made, but they're like very small and surprisingly affordable.
Yeah, and I mean, I see a lot of detail that went into those.
Oh yeah, yeah, and like so many years since they've started, they've only gotten better at making them. Like these guys got like rubbery joints and things too. So
Oh, cool. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And yeah, they've always been more about collecting the statues than the features because it's not quite like Skylanders where like you need them to play the game. These are just like little bonus things that they unlock in the game.
Okay. Cool.
They're like not mandatory. Yeah, yeah.
I need for one moment as I'm moving around.
Yeah. I it's just funny because I just hear like clattering.
Yes.
I'm just like, you're good.
There we go. I think I'm going to attempt to use my camera set up for my phone, so that way I can type. TF fan page 101 has joined us. So good evening.
Oh, all right. All right, excellent, excellent, excellent. Hey, TF fan page 101. Did you get any Black Friday deals? Did you notice any Black Friday deals? I mean, in the realm of Transformers or even otherwise. I guess you know what? Cyber Monday is going to happen tomorrow, and I haven't even. Yeah, yeah, it does usually slack. Apparently, there were some Amazon deals. Oh yeah, I got to read your comment out because that's protocol. TF fan page 101 says, "I was surprised to see some Black Friday deals for Canada. Usually it slacks." But yeah, yeah. Apparently there were some Amazon ones though. It was like Titan Scorponok or something. Once again, it was all older things, but again, I'm a fan of going back and looking at the older things because um, they tend to get ignored because like vintage is vintage and new is new, but like stuff that isn't quite new kind of tends to get lost in the shuffle.
Mhm.
Like everybody's talking about like uh God, uh like the last wave of Kingdom, like they're doing a blaster now and stuff. But nobody's talking about like the first wave of Kingdom back when they did like a really good Cyclonus and things like that.
Okay. Wow, it's like already outdated.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, event one day it will be vintage, but like, if it's slightly less than new, people tend to not talk about it anymore.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm like, hey, that's where the best stuff is. If you can get a deal on something that's like one toy line ago or at the start instead of the end, then go enjoy it belatedly.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Um, I suppose the problem too is that if you're like me and you sort of experience these things in a group, be they through talking about them here or reviews or social media or whatever, people do tend to move on kind of quickly. So, um, somebody getting like a deal on Cyclonus right now and be like, "Hey, isn't this guy great?" Might not hear much people talking about him because they've already talking about something else, which is a
Yeah.
point of view I do not support.
Well, I mean, the flaw of social media, like within 7 days, something's already like stale in a sense.
Yeah. So something I was thinking about a second ago. Uh, the new Legacy guys and some of the new Studio Series guys, um, because and it's something the Arc was $100 off on Amazon. That's good. Literally, the only reason I don't have that is because I don't have space for that. Like I have nowhere I could put that. The Titan Arc. Um, remember I was talking about We Got Games and how the guy that runs it is a Transformers guy.
Yes.
We were in there one night and he'd gotten a bunch of new things like on sale and was just playing with them out there, like a bunch of the new Commanders and Titans. Like he had Jetfire and Skylinks, and he had a Titan Arc there. I'd never seen one in person, and boy, this thing was like, it's huge, but like seeing it is something else. It's like the size of like one of those gigantic action figures they'll make for little kids that are like Batman or a Power Ranger or something, like one of
Right.
those
Okay.
huge ones, or like
Yes.
that giant bumblebee they made from a couple years ago that was like a big plastic noisemaker.
That one I don't recall.
Yeah, but
Um. Mhm.
but it was the size of one of those, but like collector oriented. So that was a sight.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, you can't really understand how big these things are until you see them, which is one of the things I like about TFCon when they set up the glass displays there and they're selling all their big expensive stuff. I'm like, I might not be buying this, but it's like a zoo. I get to look at the big expensive thing that I wouldn't normally get to see.
Right. And I mean that's in some people's photos, the ones that kind of understand that looking at an image in a photo compared to in person,
Oh
um,
yeah, yeah.
you can't get the perspective of the size of it. So then what some people will do is put, a figure, say a G1 figure or something else that's known next to that figure. So
Hmm.
then you get an idea of how big it is, and you're like, wow, like, if I know this character is like, like 8 inches tall, and then this character is like three times the size. Whereas like if it's just the image by itself, you'd have no idea, the size of it.
Yeah, boy. Because I tell you what my number one wish for TFCon is somebody brings a Unicron. Um, don't have to sell it. Just put it out there. I've seen how big this thing is in photos. I want to understand it in person, just one time. Let me look at it. Let me be in the same space.
Well, I mean, I know the one image that kind of gave me an idea of the size was
Mm-hmm.
someone in one of the groups had the box in the back of their Trans Am, either a Trans Am or a Firebird in the trunk, and they couldn't close the hatch of the trunk. That's how large the box was. I'm like, okay, this kind of gives me an idea of how big this figure is. The fact you can't even
Mhm.
fit it in the trunk of a car.
Yeah, but I would like to see that. I hope somebody does bring it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah. This is one of the reasons why, up until COVID-19 forced me to start buying figures online, I avoided buying figures online because I always wanted to have a look at them on the shelf before I actually
Mhm.
made the call. But I got moved out of my stubborn old ways by the needs of reality. So you know,
Well,
I moved on.
I'm gonna say it'd be cool if someone brought one just for the sake of displaying it, like even if they're not
Yeah.
selling it.
You matter of fact, you know what? Oh God, I don't. I want to be like, if you want to bring one, uh, we will stash it at our table and take good care of it, so
Yeah,
you can
why
come
not?
by and look. Yeah,
Why not? Like
I'll
we
make it.
will be at TFCon December 10, 11, and 12. If you have that Unicron,
Yeah,
we'll display it.
I'll put a big sticker on it that says "not for sale," so people don't ask. I have stickers that I use, so I will have some,
That's
and
cool.
then let people come by and gawk at it.
hmm and they could have a photo shoot with Unicron.
Yeah, no kidding, no kidding. Just have him like hold an action figure up in his hand because I've seen
Yep.
those photos for size and it's ridiculous. Yeah, that's my number one hope. Oh God, what was I talking about? I'm always like, how did I get here?
Well, I was just gonna jump into. I know you mentioned your cousins was coming to TFCon, and I guess
Yeah.
like how much like how many figures or how much how much items do you guys expect to bring or have to sell or display?
I don't know a lot. I still got to inventory that.
Okay.
I wonder. I wonder. Uh, I'll keep talking, but I'm going to search around in the background and see if I have the old list we did hiding around in my Google Docs because I might. uh, uh, but yeah, he is a pretty extensive collection of Beast Wars, Beast Machines, RIDO1, and Armada. Those were his four areas of collection expertise.
Okay.
Oh, I think I might have the old document. Okay. Okay. All right. Beast Machine. Oh, this is just Beast Wars and Beast Machines. He didn't even get into the robots in disguise and Armada. So let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. It's 28 figures from the Beast era.
Okay.
Um, and I kind of feel like as we go along, they'll probably be in better condition. So, um, wouldn't surprise me if we break 50 before,
Okay.
it's because, two other toy lines. So,
Right. Yeah,
uh,
that's just from the one.
yeah, those are from two Beast Wars and Beast Machines. Yeah. Um, and yeah, there's a Unicron up in there too. So,
Nice.
we're gonna we're gonna we're gonna see if we can figure out the logistics of that because it's not HasLab big, but still we have he still has the box for it, even though it's like it's kind of the box is kind of junky, but we can use it to transport it.
Well, thinking of that, if someone is willing to donate their Unicron for the display for the weekend, I'll bring my Unicron to stand it next to that Unicron. so you could
Ooh.
get a size comparison.
You have the yours was the Armada one, right? The original Armada one.
I don't recall if it's Armada. Uh, it's funny. I would almost call it G1 Unicron, even though Unicron was never designed or made back then.
Yeah.
But he came out in I think it was like 2000 or maybe 2004. He was like one of the first ones that came out.
That's probably the Armada one because that was the first one they did.
Okay.
And yeah, unless you have the HasLab one, if you have a regular Planet Unicron, you got some version of the Armada tooling because they repainted it, retooled it a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, they did the one that I always wanted to get. And I say that it's what I call a gray. It's what a term I've heard calling a gray whale, which maybe I can talk about in a second. The one. The one that I'm always after is they did the Armada one, but they did it in G1 colors with a new head that looked kind of G1-ish. And I'm like, that's the one I'd like to get because in the absence of space for the HasLab one, that's the most G1 Unicron you can find. It was like an Amazon exclusive in Generations, and it was like a platinum edition figure. Let me see if I can find it.
Okay. Actually, I think let me see if I can get my Unicron.
Yeah. Oh, I was like, why is it showing me My Little Pony? And then I realized it auto-corrected to Unicorn. The oldest typo possible. There we go. Trying to get a full-sized one. Come on.
And while you do that, then I'll get my Unicron.
Yeah. Just got to put it into a new window, get the screen share going. It's a whole thing each time.
Yes.
I'm going to hit share screen. Then I'm going to select window. Then I'm going to pick that window. And there we go. So this is product photography, so it's a little bit mistransformed up top, but yeah, this is the Armada one, but they gave it a G1 type head and a G1 type colors.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably the best non-Amazon one that you can get. Well, non-third party. I know there's that third party one, but I don't know how that guy rates in relation to other ones. But yeah, that is what I would call a gray whale because if I wanted, I could probably get one if I was willing to pay about $200. I even know people that are selling it for that much, but because some people have white whales, which are those things that they're really, really after,
right?
And then and I once heard this described in a video about vintage computers of all things. There's gray whales, which are things that you kind of want, but you don't want to go nuts. But if they fell into your lap, you'd snatch one up. So this is like a gray whale for me.
Actually, I wonder if because I have an old Tandy color computer from what year is that? 1987, I believe.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I don't know much about vintage computers. That's like not my area of expertise at all. But I feel like I know that there's a fandom around them, so you might find people interested in that.
That is true. I mean, I'm surprised that it still works. Like I've had it boxed away, since the 90s until now.
Oh, it still works, eh?
Yes. This is
that one. Okay, so yeah, that's the second release of it. That is the Energon one.
Okay.
Yeah. So they did him in Armada, and he had more like traditionally G1 colors, like he was a bit more yellow instead of black. And then this is the version from Transformers Energon, so it's like the second release.
Okay, got it.
Energon was a great premise, but a terrible show, like one of the worst. And the premise was that they defeated Unicron in the last series, but he was still alive, just depowered, which is why he had that color scheme.
Okay.
And so the initial incident of that show is he has hordes of drones inside him called the Terracons, and he has a Quintus on there also who, is a slave to his will. And he sends them out to find Energon to power him back up again. And the Transformers, who are now at peace, have to deal with that. So yeah, that is the depowered, trying to come back online version of Unicron in those colors.
I mean, that premise should almost make it quite an interesting series.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it back in the day. It was the last show I watched before I got out of the franchise for a while, which should say something. The general consensus is that it had a lot of great ideas. It just didn't tell them very well at all, because this was like the nadir of like quickly, cheaply done anime that was then badly dubbed really quickly into English. So there was two layers of like nonsense on top of it.
Just quickly put it together and get it out there.
Yeah, but people really liked the figures. Apparently, I don't have any, but like people liked that Unicron, and people liked all the original figures in the toy line that they did. So apparently, a lot of people finally remember it on the toys alone, right?
Okay.
And like, yeah, the previous series was Armada. My cousin there has a bunch of them. If we got space, we'll sell those too. So it's the same. Yeah, Armada was the one with the mini cons where they were first introduced. So
you're right. Yes, because there is a mini con. I think I have it somewhere that came with the Unicron. And I think from one of the TF cons a few years back that Mike and I went to, like someone, I think he was like selling those little figures for I think like $5 or $10. So I just got like a handful of them.
Yeah, and people like mini cons. They were pretty good for what they were. They would come in teams of 3, and they'd each team would have like a gimmick that team specifically had. Like, these ones have launching missiles. These ones combine into a little robot. These ones have like geared gimmicks. These ones are super articulated. It was an interesting little subline.
Cool. I mean that almost feeds off of the mini Transformers that they like at the later end of the G1 series.
Yeah.
Because they were all sets of 4, but then each set was unique, where it's like either sports cars, emergency vehicles, the army vehicles, and then some of them actually the 4 sets wouldn't or each set was sold differently, where it's there was just the set of vehicles as the 4, but then you would also get the base, and the base would come with one mini Transformer, but then all the bases could combine.
Yeah, mini cons were like sort of a direct evolution of that. They were 3 instead of 4, but they were they were still themed on top of their like gimmicks. There's one I wanted to show you because it's probably one of the most unique mini-con teams they did. The Street Action mini-con team. Let me just try and see if I can get a good photo that shows all of them.
Okay.
No. That's not what I want to do. Hang on. Okay, put that in a new tab. I'm like, I got to line it up because I got like multiple things here.
While you're doing that, TF fan page earlier pointed out how Frenzy and Freestyle in the header is spelled incorrectly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're right.
That's funny because this is like the old original header from like months ago, that we didn't use anymore. So when
Oh,
it kind of came back up again, I think last week, like I was surprised that we were reusing it, but like I didn't even realize the that it had typos.
I mean, obviously, back in the day, we were known as the Fresney Freestyle Sundays, and we just changed the name. So this was deliberate, and we're bringing back a classic.
There we go.
Yeah, yeah,
Fresney.
yeah. Fresney, like the Fresno Nightcrawler, but
There
like,
you go.
okay, here we go. Here we go. Yeah, yeah. Street action minicon team. Really unique set of characters because of their alt modes. Uh,
Oh, cool.
they were a scooter, a bicycle, and a skateboard who all changed into robots. Never see, never done that before. Never done that again. Like, there's been motorcycles, but there's never been bicycles. And they put rockets on the skateboard, so it was like Daniels from the Transformers movie on purpose.
Hmm.
Like, I believe the scooter was Sure Shock, the bike was Highwire, and the skateboard was Grindor. And their combined gimmick was that they combined
Nice.
into this guy called Perceptor because they loved to reuse names randomly at this point in the franchise.
Yes.
They were like they were always angling for copyrights because they were trying to keep the rights to everything. Because remember, they lost Bumblebee for a while, right?
Right.
So they were always like, we need to keep the rights to Perceptor. Call something that. Yeah. Yeah. So it was these three, and they combined into this guy. I don't know if they're going to be for sale, but I know my cousin had them. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I
But there was
mean,
a lot of. Yeah.
what is that? Go ahead.
I was going to say, like people didn't like the fiction at the time, but people really liked the figures because they were doing really unique stuff like this.
Well, looking at especially the orange, the first one, I mean, it kind of gives a like a GoBot feel to them.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because I did watch the TV show, and that might have been on purpose because like these three were the mini cons that belonged to belonged. They weren't like these three were the companions of the three kids on the animated series that they did.
Okay.
Because like the kids discover the mini cons, and that causes everybody to come to Earth, and these three partner up with them, so they just like use them as vehicles when they're in their vehicle modes.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So like considering they were like kid companion characters that could also combine like the go body looks of them might have been on purpose.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, these were probably some of my some of the more interesting ones they put out. And before Siege did it, these were the original guys to do the combining into a weapon thing. Um let me see if I can air assault minicon team. Yeah, yeah. Oh, good. They have everything here. This was the original Star Saber, like not the character, the first sword to be called that.
Interesting.
Um,
Okay.
these three, the air assault minicon team, were these air defense. Sorry, were three jets that combined into this sword, and for
Okay.
larger figures. And the Siege Micromaster team that they did that can combine into a sword was basically like a reference to this design wise.
Okay.
In fact, where's the dark version? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Take a look at this,
Nice.
and
Okay.
and th- and then they were like evil repaints they did later, and then take a look at like what the Stormcloud and Visper. What's the name of their Micromaster team? I'll just look up Stormcloud. Airstrike Patrol. That's what it was. I'm going somewhere with this. Oh, that's
There
it.
we go.
Yeah, and so okay, that's I don't know why they picked that angle for it, but that sword. This is from the first wave of Siege. These are G1 guys. These are a couple of G1 Micromasters, but their sword mode is just that one again. from
Mhm.
Armada.
Well,
So yeah,
it's funny. Yeah, like when you were looking that up and it's saying G1, I'm like, I don't recall these characters from then.
well they're Micromasters from like like you said, from the very end of G1.
I was surprised that they were combining too. I mean, I
Oh
guess
no,
there's like a handful that's that just get that were overlooked from those later years.
oh, these are Siege guys. These aren't Vintage guys. The
Okay,
G1 version, which is up here, they couldn't combine. They were just regular Micromasters. When they
right,
did when they did them in 2018 for Siege, they gave them the ability to combine based on Armada. So it's like a recursive thing.
got it. Okay,
You had like the G1 guys who were just Micromasters, and then in Armada they did mini cons that could combine, and then in Siege they brought the G1 guys back and then decided we should make them combine too. So let's yeah.
there's just a whole lot of back and forth.
Yeah. That's it's the best kind of creativity when it comes to making figures is that kind of back and forth.
Hmm.
Yeah. The mini con that would have come with your oh, why did that okay.
Well, I
Mini
was just
con yeah.
thinking, when you were saying, in terms of Hasbro losing the rights to the name Bumblebee, um,
Mhm.
how do you lose rights to a name that's common, that's already a common word,
That,
compared to say Preceptor, where like that's a unique word.
mhm. Um, it's easier to lose the rights to a common word because it's harder to copyright it.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is the minicon that came with your Unicron, by the way, the one you just showed off.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm like, I don't remember if the colors were that bright.
It,
Probably.
if it's not this one specifically, that's the tooling. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, its name's Dead End, like the Stunticon, because once again
Right.
they were just throwing names around in that time period. Yeah. One of these versions here. Either this guy or this guy or this guy.
Yeah, one of them. Like I haven't
Yeah.
looking at that. Yeah, that one is kind of somewhere in a box somewhere. So it is one of them.
Yeah. And there's even a green one.
But it's not the green one.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, they were just throwing these names around because they were trying to hang on to the rights because that's when they figured they could use them. The only the only reason they got the rights to Bumblebee back was because they were making the Michael Bay movie and they were like, okay, we got to get the name back for this. So then they like managed to they like struck a deal
Yep. Okay.
and like it that's why Rodimus got to be Hot Rod again because the character was going to appear in Last Night. So once again, they were like, "We need to get the rights back. Let's spend some money."
Yeah, I mean, for years, but it's like I think what was it, Hot Rodimus?
Yeah. First it was Rodimus Major, and then it was just
Mm-hmm.
Rodimus,
Yep.
and there was even a whole little arc in IDW where they explained why he changed his name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because he was there was a like Optimus lost the Matrix, and then Hot Rod went and found it and brought it back to Earth, and then they were like, "Your name will be Rodimus from this point on," entirely
Yeah.
so they could be like, "Look, the figures are fine."
Yeah, I was gonna say that they do the writing in terms of to compensate for the legalities of the names, where it's like, okay, well, if the company can't use this name, let's kind of create this storyline explaining, but behind the name.
Oh, 100%. That's exactly what they were doing. Yeah. And like when Slag started being known as Slug, he also changed his name in the IDW comics.
Got it.
Though they didn't write a story about it, he was just like, "That's my name now," and it's like, "Why?" And it's like, They told me it means something else, so I'm changing it. But they never
That's funny,
specified what it was. Because yeah, it was a curse word in Beast Wars, so maybe that
right?
was why.
Well, I mean, it's just funny. It's like almost no effort in that one. It's just like, yeah, I changed my name. Why? Just because I
Yeah,
did. Okay, that's it.
yeah. It's more appropriate for a Dinobot, to be like that.
Yeah, like you don't want to argue with a Dinobot about it.
Yeah, because he's foul tempered. He's like, you want to make something of it? Yeah, because like in IDW, they could talk normally, but they were still like dumb, tough guys, even if they had regular speech patterns. So
Hmm. I mean, I wonder if at some point in the timeline would or I guess in any variations of the different series and comics, did Wheeljack or did anyone else ever upgrade their intelligence?
yes, question mark. Um, remember Grimlock's new brain, even if it was a temporary thing.
I remember that, but that was in a sense an accidental. It was basically like an electrical overload that happened to Grimlock.
Yeah, that's true. Um, I don't know if that's ever been done on purpose because I'm like so many at this point. Wheeljack having created the Dinobots is almost like a minority in terms of stories, right? They tend to just exist already as native Cybertronians, um, rather than being built. So it's almost like that's not a common storyline to begin with.
Right. Okay. And Bill has joined us. He says, "Good evening,
Oh,
mates."
good evening, Bill. We're just talking about mini cons because that's where we wound up
Yes.
here on Fresney Freestyle.
Yes. This week's Fresney Freestyle.
Mhm.
Well, I guess we should throw the question to Bill. How is the room coming along? Um,
Mhm.
I know he's sent the video updates, and I know the last few weeks has just been a bit all over the place. We haven't had a chance to post them as yet. Oh, and Bill has just answered that question, saying he's uploaded a lot of progress pics just now to you. So actually, let me see if I can open up the window and check those out.
We're gonna pop them up.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to bring them up to the screen.
Yeah, I'm very invested in what it looks to be the ideal Transformers display setup.
I think the one cool part with Bill's setup is the rotating rotating gallery.
Yeah, that was my favorite too.
Yeah, I don't think out of all the groups, images of of people's setups, I don't recall seeing anyone have one of those. Um, or I mean, if they did, it's like at the end of looking at a still image, you wouldn't be able to tell. But I really don't think anyone had that. Like you could tell it's like everyone kind of has the standard setup.
I wonder if that's a good way to get more space out of a space because I'm like, all of my shelves face one direction,
Mm-hmm.
and you can only put one shelf of people in there. But I'm like, if I could rotate this, does that mean I'd have four sides to work with, and then I could just spin them around as I wanted?
That's exactly it. Well, his is motorized.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that. I was just thinking of being able to go. Pew!
Well, I mean, think about it. Depending on the day of the week, you'd be like, well, today's Tuesday, so I'm going to have
Mhm.
this part of the rotation facing.
Titan Tuesday, and then just be like, "There's all my Titans."
Nice.
Yeah, I hand-drawn Optimus that my friend got me for my birthday this past weekend. Local artist. Ah, those are always the best.
Yes.
I need a good hand-drawn picture. My space gets rearranged so often that I haven't hung any of my posters up to show off. But like, I got a couple of Wreckers lineups signed by Nick Roche, who's the artist that drew most of the Wreckers comics, and
Nice.
a Lost Light one from him too. They're just like cast photos of them just standing together, like it was an album cover. But, it's cool looking.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, yeah, because he was at TFCon one year. You will also use risers as well to maximize space. I need some risers. I impromptu. I've said before. I have a few risers that I created using Generation Selects boxes because they're very good at that. You put them in the back of a shelf and you can raise people up a little higher.
From my G1 collection, I mean, essentially it was just arranging everyone, in terms of height. So there wasn't the need of risers, but then using Optimus's trailer for some figures, because I have them in robot mode. The trailer has to go somewhere, so I'd keep the trailer, but behind some other figures, and then they'd all be standing on the trailer.
Yeah, I did that too. Still with the Earthrise one, I have his trailer there with figures standing them on the back like a riser.
Nice.
Yeah, I need to, because I'm like, I gotta do a little bit of a culling to get myself some more TFCon stock because I got cleaned out previously, and I'm like, I need to sell some things. So I feel like I need to go through a big shelf reorganization and figure out what I'm keeping and what's going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it will get to that moment where you're just like, okay, I just got to deal with this, and then just reorganize and assemble everything properly.
Mm-hmm.
So as Bill says, I use spice rack risers for cabinets, and says that they are cheap and very effective.
Spice racks, hey, that's clever.
It is. So as I'm on my slower computer today, it's like 3 minutes and I still can't get that screen to come up yet.
Well, which screen was it you were trying to get?
For the messenger to show Bill's images.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, because
I understand how that can be.
Yeah, I would have rather been on the faster computer, but then it's like the camera wasn't working, the mic's not working, so I'm like, let me just jump on the phone, but I still have the older computer running all the comments and everything here in the background.
That's good. At least we got something running it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the time of the evening where I start relying on the banter around me because my brain has become not spent, but I definitely feel like I come out the gate swinging, and this is the point where if you were boxing me, I would start to tire out, and the other person would have the advantage.
No, I know what you mean. It's like you just you want them to kind of take over on that. When it's like you get to recharge for a bit.
Yeah. Well, it's because I was like, all right, time to talk unbroken for a long period of time about my favorite thing. Yeah, I was gonna say, first of all, I'm woefully behind schedule preparing for TFCon because I still have to. I mean, I still have my inventory sorted from the '80s Toy Expo, but like I gotta box and bag some new things, and then I gotta go over and help Nick do his, and I got like a week to do that. Well, like 2 weeks. Oh, hey, Bill's gonna have internet soon. They ran the fiber to the pole of his house, so hopefully he will have actual internet and not have to freeze his ass off. Are you outside? Like I remember. I remember you videoed us from outside, but I thought you were just like walking around for the heck of it. Because, like, I'll do that. Did you have to go outside to get intro? Are you standing in? Because it's I don't know how it is down there, but like it snowed. Oh wow! I
Yeah, because
appreciate the.
I remember a few episodes back, the internet was. Or I'm guessing you were either the Wi-Fi on the phone or you were streaming using data from the phone, but it was better from outside than in the house. Whereas just like you started losing signal,
Mhm.
which I'm assuming once you have your Wi-Fi and everything set up in the house, you're perfectly fine to do everything inside.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know what the temperature's like down there, but up here in Canada, my house is in the ground, so no signal inside. Big oof.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, my place isn't like that. But Jess's brothers used to live in a place that was like that, where it was like a dead zone downstairs because they were in a basement half. So I know what that's like. Uh, I was gonna say I don't know what it's like over there, but here in Canada we got our first snow today, so it was like, or at least in the area I live in. Um, so it's
Okay.
real cold out. So I sure hope you're like uh, not numbing your fingers trying to watch us.
Yeah, that's a good set of gloves on.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see,
I was
37 degrees tonight. Let's see, so
I, was,
37
I don't
Fahrenheit.
know
So
Fahrenheit. What is
well,
that?
for us, 32 Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius, which is basically like freezing point. So that's right now he's standing outside in like at least 1 to 2 Celsius, which is pretty cold.
Yeah, I just quickly used my phone. 2.7 degrees Celsius. Jeez. Um, we will not fault you if you ever decide you need to go inside.
Mm-hmm.
Take care of yourself, man.
It's dedicated, sir.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, I mean, yes, 5 degrees above freezing. Boy, oof. I had something I was going to talk about, but I forgot that because I'm so distracted by the idea of this man
Mm-hmm.
in the freezing cold trying to watch us. Yeah, okay. I was going to say,
I mean, yeah, like we appreciate it because I know during the week, like with work and everyone else, just having a conversation with Transformers, it's non-existent. So
yeah,
to
yeah.
just have this space to just chill out for a little bit or chill literally, um, and just chat about Transformers for a bit. That's
Yeah,
we appreciate the dedication.
yeah. I'm going to tell you, I, one time I drove to a convention in the ice, and I got my car spun out into a ditch on the way.
Ooh,
I was fine. Like, I
okay,
just my car was fine too. I needed to get a new license plate because I dinged it a bit, but like, yeah,
wow.
I enjoy the show. Yeah, we enjoy making it. So
Yes, we do.
yeah. Uh, but yeah, I've driven through some crazy weather conditions. I'm hoping it's not crazy on that weekend.
Well, it's weather-wise, it's I mean for us here in Ontario, it's been going that direction since Friday afternoon. Um,
Mhm.
'Cause I was out basically for most of the weekend and then just a little bit today, but from Friday afternoon it was like freezing, extreme freezing wind.
Mhm.
Sorry, a lot of heavy winds that were extremely cold on Friday. And
Mhm.
then from late Saturday, a lot of northern Ontario up to Niagara, they were already getting their snowfall and storms, which then came to Toronto today.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just been like 3 days of 3 days of actual winter hitting.
Yeah. I Yeah, like I said, I just hope it's not too insane when it comes time for the show to roll around because I got stuff to transport.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. I was going to say now typically when I go to TFCon and I go around looking for stuff to buy, um, this is also why I encouraged everybody to bring as many people as possible because then I can take like half an hour to go walk around the convention and somebody else can mind my table.
Exactly. Yep.
Be it my cousin or Jess or whoever or uh, one of the guys that's at our going to be at our table is a guy named Andrew, and I've gone to conventions with him for like a zillion years. So me and him will handle each other's stuff while they. Do I ever come to U.S. conventions? Unfortunately, no. It's a little bit prohibitively expensive for me, and that was before like border restrictions. Um, the secret of like all the ones I go to were in the same building, and that building is only about a 40-minute drive from my house. So. Um, it's really easy, but yeah, I haven't crossed the border for a convention. Um, partially because, like, I mean, I don't take part to the point where it's like a business to me. It's more of a fun thing, and the money I make off it is like a nice bonus. But like, I wouldn't count it as enough of a revenue stream to make a trip to the US worthwhile with all the extra expenses that would come with that. Yeah, I guess that's the best way of explaining it.
Well, it's funny. I would have said opposite. When D and I were working in music, we've traveled to conventions between Canada, the U.S., and a few other countries.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's yeah, there is this side of it when it's on the business side of it, then it's kind of more practical to travel to those conventions. The
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate side, although sometimes it works out, is um, you don't get a chance to really get to enjoy the city because it's basically like say with the Toronto um, TFCon coming up, if anyone from like any other country or the states is coming here, um, and they're involved in those 3 days, it's kind of like those 3 days you're basically tied into the convention, so you don't get a chance to really, get to visit the city and see all it like all the sites or get to enjoy the city. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, there's a few conventions where they kind of work the timeline in a sense where it's like, you have your days where you're dedicated to what you're doing, but then there may be 1 or 2 days of just getting a chance to roam around and actually, visit the country or the city you're in.
Hmm. Yeah, I could see that being a thing. I'm thinking about like a lady who's never been out of the continental US, and I have to bring up her up there and actually meet you all. Nice. Yeah, I will say, that's probably the only downside of running a table, and I was about to get into that, is like you are basically tied to that table the whole convention.
Mm.
Um, if you go somewhere else to a panel or yeah, I used to come to Canada all the time. My first wife is a newfie. Hey, my partner's a newfie too. Yeah.
Many friends from
Yeah.
Newfoundland.
Yeah. Yeah. They make uh, they make great food. She introduced me to yellow potatoes, and that's another story for another time. Anyway, yeah. I was gonna say when you're in a when you're there as a dealer, you're kind of tied to your table unless somebody watches your stuff for a while. So I'm like,
Right.
if I want to go look around or go to a panel or do anything else, like Cincha Bay. No, I don't know that one, but she probably would. Um, but yeah, I tend to be because you're tied to that table. It's not the best for like socializing, which is not to say that you can't, but like the only thing you can do is people can come by and say hi while you're at the table, basically,
Right.
right?
Right.
But you can't like find a quiet corner somewhere and hang out with people. Like I which it's not too bad. It's just you can say hi and chat for a bit, but like it's not the best for socializing or for like going and taking part in activities. But on the other hand, I get to make money and just straight up put that money back into robots. So at this point, I don't think I could go to one of these things and not be a dealer because like it's so I get to enjoy the robot collecting part of it so much more when I have a table because then I can go fund and stuff.
Yeah,
I really
it does work better when it's a collective, because then it's like,
mhm.
whoever is with you, you can trust them to, that you can get a chance to just leave the table and socialize, and the table's still running on its own.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I was just thinking. I just checked their website to be sure. I hope they announce what exclusives there are soon because I want to figure out if I'm going to get some of them or which ones. Yeah, freshwater. Yeah, it's a place in Newfoundland, I would presume, because it sounds like one, but I'm not totally sure.
Mm.
We are all cosplayers. I have a full OP cosplay. Ooh, I always like it when people manage to pull those off.
Nice. That's one realm I haven't jumped into as yet.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, yeah, during the years of I would say probably during the years of working within music, that's when a lot of the cosplay started coming in.
Hmm.
But then as I got out of music, I think that's when cosplay like really became popular.
Yeah.
So I've never been to an event to actually see anyone dressed up. But I mean, from the images I've seen, like a lot of them are quite impressive. Um,
Yeah.
the one that I know that was the ongoing joke for a while was someone did Apocalypse from X-Men, and the
Yeah.
cosplay version was better than the Marvel Studio version in the movie.
Yeah, I could
Like
see
that's
that.
embarrassing. Like this person spent like their time putting this together, and yours is better than like you guys who have like the $1 million budget.
Yeah. I always liked when they'd compare him to Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Saying he because the Oscar Isaac one looked like that. Seemed like he had a bad time.
I came across and it's weird. Like, when was it? A couple weeks ago, I came across an old Power Rangers clip. I think they were introducing the White Ranger,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
rewatching it, I'm like, ooh, like I could see why they turned the comments off. It was quite bad watching it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Every vintage Power Rangers thing I've seen, and this is like now. Here's the thing, and I've thought of this before. I don't mean
Mm,
to. I don't mean to start a thing here, but okay, so G1 cartoon. I grew up with that as Generation 2.
mm,
And I watched a fair amount of Power Rangers in my day because I was a kid and it was on TV and that's what kids watched, right? And I revisited the Transformers cartoon and I revisited Power Rangers briefly. And I could not do Power Rangers. And I was like, why doesn't this work for me? Why does the G1 cartoon work for me? And it all comes down to the quality of the acting because Power Rangers hired fresh faced newcomers with zero acting experience and it showed, right?
mm,
Nobody could deliver a line earnestly.
mm.
Whereas G1, you had a stable of extremely talented voice actors turning in really solid performances. And I think that makes the difference. Uh, cheap animation will at least spring for good voice acting. Cheap live action, just oof.
But then here's an irony. Um, if you if you purposely present that premise, it actually works.
Hmm.
Because with Beastie Boys, intergalactic video,
Yeah,
they're basically dressed up as as cosplay robots and Godzilla and stuff, and you could see
yeah,
like all the fake buildings around them, and it's like and they're having like the classic fight in Japan and just like being goofy about it, but you
yeah,
want to watch that like over and over again because it's just funny. They're having fun with it, but when it's
yeah,
supposed to be like serious or even that serious since it was a children's show, but it's like, when they put all that work into it and then like that's the outcome, you're like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I wonder what you'd think of Kamen Rider. It's a franchise I got in during lockdown. It's of the same subgenre as Power Rangers, which is tokusatsu, which is Japanese special effects stuff. Like Godzilla's a tokusatsu as well. So, um,
Okay, no, I haven't heard of that, so I'm not sure.
yeah, it's getting a push in the West now. It takes itself way more seriously than like Power Rangers did. The Japanese Power Rangers did too. Like
Okay.
here's the original guy because I got a little figure of him. Uh, the original show was from like the 70s. As yeah, guy gets in the suit, fights monsters. He's like a cyborg, and the monsters are from like an occult
Okay.
Illuminati
Yes.
group.
Like I've seen that figure.
Yeah, you might have seen this guy someplace, right?
Yeah.
It's like the original Power Rangers. There's been a lot of common riders, but like the original guy's still like iconic.
Right.
Yeah, the old show's not bad. There's here because I got a few other small figures.
Oh, that's my mistake.
Yeah, this guy's from one of the movies they did some movies in the '90s. Common Rider Zeto. The '90s movies are really fun because they're like dark and gritty and stuff.
Okay.
This guy's oh crap. Nah, it's all right. This guy's Kuga. He's from 2000 or 2001, I think.
Yeah, seen that figure as well.
Yeah, okay. This one was a good show, Kamen Rider Kuga. If it's something you want to get into, this is probably a good one to start with.
Okay.
Like I said, it doesn't look great, but the quality of the storytelling is pretty good.
Okay.
If you can deal with the fact that it's a suited guy fighting rubber monsters, if you can get over that hurdle.
But I mean, yeah, suited guy fighting rubber monsters, that that's almost like the least of anything, because really if it has good writing, that's the core concept right there, because I mean, when they came out with the newest Optimus like a few months ago, the Star Saber,
Yeah.
and a lot of people just weren't into it, or it's kind of like, well, why is Hasbro introducing like these Star Sabers and everything, and then and it's like a lot of people seem to forget that a lot of these shows are based off of shows from the late 70s, early 80s. Yeah, so like all of these concepts, and that was also the reason why I couldn't really get into Power Rangers at the time, because I just thought of it as like almost a cheap version of Voltron, whereas like I'm used to Voltron from the 80s, but then now there's these Power Rangers in the 90s that are almost a live action version of Voltron, but it's just the quality just wasn't the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, one more I wanted to show off. This is Kamen Rider 01 is like very recent. His show's from like 2019.
Okay.
They sort of did an Iron Man thing with him because he like is a young executive who inherits a tech company accidentally when his grandpa dies.
Cool.
And he gets like a suit of powered armor, which is what this is. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess while I'm plugging stuff, if you they have a little channel now, the people that are bringing it over, called Toku Shoutsu.
Okay.
It's like TOKU SHOUT because it's by Shout Factory. It's the guys that handle the Transformers shows now too. So, and they just have these shows streaming for free. So like the originals up there, Kuga's up there, a couple other shows. 01, who I just held up there, he's going to be coming out in January. say you can just go watch those. I got way into those during the pandemic. They're fun. They're fun and they're like serious enough. Like they still get kind of goofy, but they're told like not immediately childishly the way Power Rangers is.
Okay. I mean, I could see myself getting into like the different shows and cartoons. I mean, for
Yeah,
myself, it's just the time to put aside to get into them. But I mean,
yeah.
there was one that my daughter was watching. No idea the name of it, but just the animation and what was happening within the 10-15 minutes of watching it. I'm like, I could get into the series because this is it's almost like the Robotech style animation, um, but it's just like the characters were really intense in terms of the fighting scene and everything that was going on within the scenes.
Yeah, I wonder what show that was.
Yeah, I would have to ask her and get back to you because it looked like a really good show.
Yeah. Funny thing, I actually I picked these little guys up at the like '80s Toy Expo and like the other conventions in that building because they got people there that sell that stuff too, and these are just like little cheap model figures you build. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
So I
actually,
mean, I'm
oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, catching up with Bill's comments. So Bill said that mine was made for an event called Cosplay on a Budget. You can only spend $15 on the whole thing, not including paint. So mine is made from all cardboard boxes, soda boxes, and styrofoam. I mean, that's pretty cool. That's
Yeah.
it was what grade was that? I can't remember what grade that was. I think in '87 or '88. I had made my own Metroplex out of an old TV box. And I think it was almost as tall as one of my friends, and he seemed offended that I made like this transformer base that was as tall as him.
You've committed a crime against God and nature.
I know. It was basically the legs were styrofoam, and the like the styrofoam that protected the TV were the legs, but in base mode they were I don't know what you would call them, almost like the section leading into the base. It's almost like an underground like highway ramp in a sense.
Oh, sounds like a wonderful project.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
was cool.
it's just the budget version of that guy that made like a bookshelf. Metroplex.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of. I'm guessing because Bill made his from boxes and soda boxes and styrofoam. He was trying to be a real robot. Because I'm like, when it comes to Transformers cosplay, there's like two schools of thought. You're either trying to be the robot or you're trying to be a human personification of the character.
Right.
Yeah, and like both are pretty valid. And it's interesting because I think being the real robot is harder to pull off because they look like so specific. But then you get to cheat a little bit when it's a human personification because you're like, oh, as long as it suggests the character.
Hmm.
And think about how More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light fed into that by having all these characters have human hologram avatars they'd use that were clearly meant to resemble the humanized versions of the characters, and how
What
that
was
was
that?
probably like, yeah, that was probably done for the sake of people that wanted to cosplay.
Got it. Okay.
Maybe I'll see if I can find some photos of that. Uh, uh,
Well,
more.
and Bill's next comment, are either of you into other animes? I'm really impressed with Netflix live action comedy, action Cowboy Bebop, which I've heard people make reference of. Only on the second episode, but so far not angry with it.
Yeah, I have the original Cowboy Bebop on Blu-ray, but I haven't watched it yet. I dabble in anime. I'm not. I don't know if I call myself an anime person, but like if an individual show I hear is good, I'll watch it. I just like treat it like I do like live action TV, where I'm like, is this a good one? Yeah. Uh, God, what's my? Hello. Um, I mean, I watched My Hero Academia with a friend of mine. It's a superhero story, but like a good one.
Okay.
Just looking for.
Bill has also mentioned got first place in that in the cosplay on a budget. $200. They were most impressed
Ooh.
with the hubcaps being made from my spray paint cans.
Oh yeah, I found the. Let me get it shared. I found the page here on the wiki that's just a gallery of everybody's human uh human hollow avatars. So like, basically it's a guide to how to cosplay if you're doing humanized stuff. There we go. Yeah. Now, there was this thing where, like, early on in IDW, they had hollow avatars that really didn't suit them at all, and then they got better ones later. So there's some of these that fit and some of these that don't.
Okay.
But this is I'm going to pay attention to the good ones. So here's Human Hot Rod,
Okay.
and because he's like prototypically 80s, he sort of has a Marty McFly thing going with his vest.
Yep.
Yeah, and the headband. Um, and here is where's Megatron? There he is. Yeah, this was the humanized version of it because he was with the Autobots at this point. This was during that whole story.
Okay.
Yeah, so they gave him like a fancy cane and a gray hair and a Decepticon logo and stuff.
Okay.
And who are the? Oh, I always loved how they portrayed this one. Here's Swerve.
That's Swerve?
Yeah, yeah.
Quite. Yeah, I wouldn't have imagined. Wouldn't have imagined. That interpretation of him.
Yeah. Well, he's short and stumpy. He's got the glasses. He's got the feet.
True.
um, where's Cyclonus? They did one of him. Yeah, there we go. Cyclonus appeared as a woman for her hollow matter avatar. It was like a really fancy one too.
Interesting.
Yeah. This is because the more than meets the eye version of the character was like extremely old instead of being like a Unicron thing. He's from like ancient Cybertron, so he's like from an old time.
Okay.
Oh, too far back. A lot of these are like obscure characters, but they did take the time to. Here's Spinister. But the weird specific reason for his costume was he was using a hollow matter avatar to pretend to be a member of Mask.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, because this was when everything had already crossed over, so they were in the same universe.
Cool.
Yeah. So he's trying to be a Mask member. And is there anybody else that's like? Tailgate, Swerve, Streetwise. Oh, yeah, here's
I need to step away for about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Actually,
no problem.
Oh, no, I'm okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, and of course, here's Optimus Prime being a trucker with a big beard.
That makes sense for Optimus.
Yeah, there's a. Oh yeah, the live action movie comics did a really neat, obvious thing, where they did his hollow matter avatar as Peter Cullen.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, this was they tried to make this happen a couple times in the Bay movies, but it never quite lined up. So they just did it in a comic instead.
Okay. Peter's like,
Yeah.
well, then again, he has been the voice in the movies. I was gonna say if he wasn't, he'd be like, well, you can't go using my image if I'm not in the movie.
Yeah, I guess maybe. Yeah, everybody else is like obscure people,
Hmm.
or like from that earlier time period. Yeah, okay. Well, there's Ratchet, and this was after they started basing him on the like Transformers Prime version, so he's like a stocky old doctor.
That fully fits.
Yeah, yeah. Well, those are probably all the like easy to recognize ones. Oh
Okay.
yeah. Here's Nightbeat was based off of Idris Elba's character Luther.
Ah, okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. But those are all the obvious ones. Everybody else is
Right.
like obscure pulls. Yeah, but like so those are basically like costume guides, effectively, because they're like you can't make boxes for like you can't come up with a hot rod that looks like the Cybertronic Spree version where it's like
Right.
really good. Well,
Yep.
here's a humanized hot rod. See if you can make this happen instead because it's much easier, right?
If you can pull off Marty, you can pull off this hot
Yeah. If you can pull off Marty McFly, you just need a special T-shirt and like a headband, and if you got the Marty McFly vest, you're basically mostly there.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, a lot of people like to go as Whirl because that's a really easy one. You see the eye patch and the guns and the overalls.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. I'm thinking of the Marty McFly hot rod reference in terms of a crossover.
Oh yeah, the Back to the Future one. I need to read that comic because uh, I hadn't watched the movies when it came out. I only saw them recently for the first time, which
Okay.
good films. And if I'd seen them at the time, I probably would have read that comic. I even have a Gigawatt now because I liked the movie so much. Right?
Well,
Oh,
that's funny because in terms of me saying a crossover, I didn't know that actually existed. Because I'm thinking, with that image of Hot Rod, looking like Marty McFly, I'm thinking of Daniel on the hoverboard, that
oh
Hot
yeah,
Rod
yeah,
saves him from. But then Marty
yeah,
McFly has a hoverboard in the movies.
yeah. That is a good point of comparison. Maybe they did that. I don't know. I haven't read that comic. Apparently, it's pretty good, but
Okay.
I just know that it stars Gigawatt because they were trying to promote the toy,
Right.
and Marty McFly and Doc Brown are in it, and Gigawatt shows up and takes them someplace, and like the G1 Autobots and Decepticons show up and do stuff. I don't know. Sounds
Okay.
like a fun time, right?
It does.
Yeah. It helps that like IDW already did like Back to the Future comics, so like they had a established stable of writers there to like bring to write this too, not just the Transformers parts. So
Well, that's cool. I mean, again,
yeah,
it's you end up with better writers when they already have the comic mindset and they're actually writers as opposed to
yeah,
just putting it in the hands of people, hoping to put something together.
yeah. Like it was the same thing with the Ghostbusters crossover they did because they were promoting the Optimus and Ectotron, and IDW had been doing Ghostbusters comics for a long time, so they just
Okay.
brought in the writers from those to do the crossover because they were already old hands at the material.
Okay. Cool. Well, Bill says, "Okay, mates, wind is starting to blow, so I'm heading in. I'll
Yeah,
see you next week." Yes.
yeah. By all means, please. If there's a cold wind blowing, get out,
Mhm.
get
Uh,
in.
get
Sorry.
in. Yes.
Yeah,
But thank you, Bill, for joining us once again. In the cold, dedicated fan.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, what was I on about? Oh yeah, the crossovers.
Mhm.
They made like they made a few that they didn't even make figures of because I think they just had the rights. Like they did Transformers Terminator, and they didn't make any figures out of that.
Okay.
Though it wasn't like there was a central crossover character in it. Like in the future bits, they did like Starscream that changed into the like machine jets from the start of Terminator. but like the actual
Okay.
main story was just like the Terminator encountering the Transformers. Oh, but I've said this before. They did a Transformers Star Trek crossover where they came up with one called Fortress Tiberius, who changed into the original Enterprise,
I've
and I
seen
was like,
I've
yeah,
seen the cover of that. Like that looks
yeah,
cool.
yeah. I'm like, make a figure of that, please. I will buy it. Whoa,
Hmm.
that scared me.
Hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, make a figure of that, please. And also, they've done a fair amount of My Little Pony crossovers, but they already made merchandise of that, so
Got it.
yeah.
Well, I would say it's almost 10 o'clock. So I think you know
Hmm.
what? I think this will be one of those weeks that will end the 10 o'clock mark.
Yeah. Well, we actually did start at 8, so like the
Yes,
actual hypothetical 2-hour time limit window will be maintained.
this is correct. So so other than promoting the website,
Children of Primus.
childrenofprimus.com, which is
Mhm.
our buy and sell website for anyone who's interested in buying and selling locally to anyone in any city, Canada and the US. Check out the website, check out the news and reviews section where we have you know talented written articles on Mondays and Fridays from Fear or
Mhm.
Courage. And what are we expecting for tomorrow and for this upcoming Friday?
Ooh, well, tomorrow I'm taking a look at Origin Bumblebee. Finally, the first episode guy who changes into a spaceship despite looking like he changes into a Volkswagen. They
Nice.
finally pulled the trick off. I'll compare him to Mass Toys Skiff 2, which is the only other figure to have tried that. Um, Gosh, who's going up on Friday?
Pepperoni looks interested.
Yeah. Um, yeah, she's over. She's eyeballing it. I don't have him with arms reach to show up, but the the Monday after that, I'll be finally looking at Covert Agent Ravage from Kingdom.
Ah,
Wonder
yes.
who. Yeah, I wonder who I should pull from the archives on Friday. Probably something from Siege. I still have a lot of those that haven't gone up. Uh, maybe maybe I'll bring out my Siege Megatron review for my retro one because those that have seen the Beast Wars episodes with Ravage in them will understand an important thing that happened there involving the original Megatron and Ravage that led to a whole big thing, which I won't spoil because everybody should watch those because that's a good show. And the final few episodes of the second season are just cream of the crop for Transformers material. Yeah. So yeah, Siege Megatron, then Covert Agent Ravage, then I don't know after that, then probably Kingdom Rhinox. I'm in the process of writing his. Is he better than the Thrilling 30 guy that everybody has? Let's find out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm up to.
Cool.
Pepperoni's definitely getting ready to jump off me.
And then definitely, you know, let everyone know that we will be at TFCon Toronto in Mississauga, December 10th,
Mm-hmm.
11th, and 12th. We will have our own table buy and sell, and cats and a website, displays and just socializing.
Come on, Pep. Come on.
I think Pepperoni has taken over the episode and decided to boot Fear or Courage off for a moment there.
She disconnected me. She got on the keyboard and disconnected me.
That is funny.
Yeah. She's
So,
like, she's like, no, no.
well, I'm guessing her middle name must be Ravage. Just nice little espionage move and just like disconnected you.
Yeah, yeah. Covert agent pepperoni.
Yeah. Well, I can't think of anything else. You know, at the moment, I mean, we've covered a lot for this week, as we tend to cover a lot every week.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of Fresney Freestyle.
Well, actually, freestyle is spelled wrong. How do we pronounce that?
Oh, oh, I didn't even notice that one. Okay, Shoulder Primus, Fresney, Freestyle. Welcome to Fresney Freestyle.
We'll have to speak to our tech department about these typos.
Yeah. What does it say that I never noticed that until now?
It's that happens in the world of the designing and websites and everything. It's like you're building everything. It's the small, little errors like that get overlooked because you're spending multitudes of hours dealing with everything else. You just you get that tunnel vision and miss the most obvious inconsistencies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
This has been Fresney Freestyle.
Sly.
Yeah. Wishing you a happy Cyber Monday because that is tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and a happy Thanksgiving to our U.S. friends. So that would.
Oh yes, hope it was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Probably just on its last legs, unless y'all got Monday off too. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, not sure. A shout out to TF Fan Page 101. And Bill for joining us this evening.
Mm-hmm. And I guess there's nothing else to say, but till all are one.
Until all are one. That is it for this week.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you.